Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, and welcome to the Transporter Room. I'm excited to launch our episode review series for Star Trek Enterprise. Joining me on this adventure is my fantastic co host, Kenny, who will be diving into each episode by my side. Today, we will be reviewing the episode Strange New World. So, without further ado, let's beam in Kenny.
Insufficient sensor data.
Hello. How has your day been?
Busy day.
I imagine I had a busy morning as well, and it was an early start for my day. So, but I'm glad to be doing this finally because this is more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more fun. So today we're going to be reviewing the episode Strange New World. It originally aired on October 20th, 2001. It was directed by David Livingston, the story by Rick Berman and Brandon Braga. So this episode is the first time that we actually get to see another Earth-like planet. And so, obviously, as we're seeing it here, it opens up with, crewman Cutler and Novakovich having a meal in the mess hall. What I loved about this part was he was giving her a hard time about eating plomic soup, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah.
And she was like okay with that. And yeah, so no, he gave her a hard time about that. Um but then I don't know about but then you see the light show up in the mess hall and everybody goes to the window and realizes, hey, we're at another planet.
Yeah. I got like a lower deck feel from this, like lower decks. When I think it's Novakovich gets up there and he's like, you would think that the captain would make some kind of announcement or something because they don't know what's going
Exactly.
on at all. And they're just kind of watching from the distance and seeing, like, oh, look what's going on. And that's when we jump to the bridge and then realize what is actually going on.
Correct. As we get to the bridge, they're all just stunned and like, wow, they can't believe they're actually seeing this. It's the first Earth-like planet. Um, of course, Archer is sitting here. He's asking, Reed, is it really uninhabited?
Yeah.
What do we have? And, so they're going through, they're preparing to do their review. And, oh, what a shock. T'Pol starts questioning them.
Yeah. She suggests basically the Vulcan way to conduct a proper review of a planet before going, which is going to be what she says 6 to 7 days.
Yes,
Yeah. And I think I love what Trip says. Oh, you expect us to sit up here for a week while probes have all the fun?
exactly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and recommending, yeah, Archer's ready to sit away team, and DePaul has other ideas, and shoots the
Yeah.
probes. And no, it doesn't sit well with either Trip or Archer.
They're way too
Um,
excited. They're ready for the human way of exploration. Let's jump in.
mm-hmm. Is exactly how they're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I remember correctly, also, and I'm hoping I'm not getting episodes, and I might be getting two episodes crossed. That they talk about alien sightings are always in the woods, but I think that's civilization because unfortunately I watched that one this morning as
Oh,
well
it's
for
probably
something
me.
else.
Yeah.
And so I think I made a note and I think I have that on the wrong sheet. So anyway, um, so now, we finally go to the credits. Okay, question. What's your opinion on the credits? I
Oh, the theme
know
song?
the theme song, I mean, a lot of people
I
have
know.
always been against it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so this is my take. I love it. And I loved it back when I saw it when it first aired and like for the pilot. And that when it showed up, it was so different. But like
Mm-hmm.
my take on it is like, and also when I'm rewatching the series, like if I'm rewatching Enterprise, you know how for any series you can skip the intro. It always
Yep.
has a little. I know I never do for Enterprise. I always listen to the theme song because I love it and I sing along. Um, and I think it works. I think what it does is it adds to the feeling that this trek is closer to us in timeline. So when you think about the other themes, they're very much classical orchestral music, which is timeless. But this sounds more modern. It sounds like something I would hear if I flipped on the radio. You know what I mean? Like it's very closer in time to us. I think it makes it feel more contemporary, and it feels like this is actually not so far in the future for us. Think about it. When compared to the other treks at the time, this is much more closer in time to us, and so that's the feeling I got when I listened to it. That it's such a huge shift, and then even the visuals, like watching the credits and seeing like the background and like the names pop up, but then all of the different enterprises, like I thought it was cool. I love it. I've loved it since it aired, and I didn't know about all the backlash because you didn't. What was this was like 2001. We didn't have the same social media and so forth that we have today, so I didn't even know about the backlash until recently. Um, but yeah, I'm a fan. I love it.
I didn't either. I didn't know about the backlash either until honestly a couple of years ago. And I don't know. I guess everybody wanted the orchestral music, and that's fine. I mean, I don't get me wrong. The opening, the opening for TNG is just classic Star Trek. It's just the same as it was for the motion picture. So yes, I really do like those as well. But for me on this one, I loved all of the pictures and the video showing us from back in time all the way to the NX-01. And I always loved, I remember, I mean, I don't know why. It's clear, it is still as clear as in my mind as it was back in 2001 when you see the ship from First Contact. When you see the Phoenix, I'm like, that's from First Contact. I was like, that's so cool. And I just loved how they tied that all together. And so, yeah, I have no problem with it. I, that's just my opinion. So I know other people have other opinions, but so now that we have gotten through the opening and the credits, we move our way into the shuttle pod bay. So, what did you on this part of the series and this scene? What did you like about it the most, or what did you have to say about it?
In this episode or just in the series in general?
No, right here where we're at now. Where
Oh,
now we're coming back in,
yeah,
where they're getting ready to go on the away mission,
yeah.
and
And yeah,
the notes
it's
I yeah
different from what we would expect. Instead of going to a transporter room, they're going into getting a shuttle pod ready.
exactly,
Yeah.
and what I love as a funny part of this scene is Cutler is she's trying her hardest to have small talk with
And just
T'Pol.
to relate to her, like she tried the plomeek soup and it was really interesting. I think she says it was interesting. um,
Yes,
and T'Pol just completely disregards her. And then she's like, "Oh, thank you for choosing me for this mission." And T'Pol was just like, "Oh, you were qualified, so you were chosen. That's it."
I know. She's again, she's a Vulcan,
Yeah,
so it's by the book. It's all logical.
yeah.
Huh. And then Trip's like, "You'd have better." What do you say?
Oh, you'd
You'd have.
have better. I wrote it down. You'd have better luck making friends with a housefly.
Yep.
Yeah,
And he's right.
yeah.
You would. Oh my god. But and so after they
Hilarious.
do that, they I understand why they're still using shuttlecrafts at the time because transporters are still new,
Hmm.
and it's definitely hard for me as someone who grew up with TNG and to see all of this. They're like always uses shuttlecrafts, always uses
Yeah.
shuttlecrafts, but that's a good thing because as we learn later in the episode, um, yeah, transporters are not quite what they need to
Yeah.
be at
There's
the
a lot of work. They
22nd
need a
second.
lot of work. So
They need a lot of work,
yeah.
and that is for dang sure.
This scene I really love. How they're entering the atmosphere and then it lights up and they're all like so in awe. Look at that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Oh yeah, and it's
It's a
just such
great
a
shot.
beautiful terrain too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then I love in my notes. I always said first thing out,
Oh yeah.
Porthos.
Yeah. I love
He
their
was.
hats too. Did you notice they're really cool hats? NX-01. I need to get myself one of those.
I've been wanting one. I've been
Yeah.
after I was watching these today. I was like,
I
I
need
saw.
myself one of
I
those.
think you can get them on Amazon.
Yeah, or just get them custom made from somewhere because they're
True.
really cool.
And now, and so as we see here, the crew is going out trying to look at everything. And if you remember, T'Pol is sitting there scanning and
Yeah.
reading off all the technical details. And Archer's like, "Put that thing away."
Enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Oh,
she's been to 36 other M class planets. I never knew actually something I learned in this episode is that M class stands for Minshara class.
yep.
I
I never knew
didn't
that either.
okay, yeah. I thought maybe I was the only one, but
No.
I didn't know it was M class was Minshara class. But yeah,
Yep.
she's like, I've been to 36 other ones. This experience is only marginally different.
Oh, Vulcans.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's where I think this was the first episode we learned what the M stands
Mm.
for
Yeah,
in
maybe like
Class M.
yeah.
I don't remember it in any other episodes so
Yeah.
far. Yeah, so and I don't think they even watched it in TOS if I remember. So no. So we learned. That's what I like about Enterprise. We're learning all the things that we already knew about in TOS, TNG, and so on and so on, but they're actually explaining it a little bit better.
Yeah, the origins of things and how things
Yes.
started. Yeah. And oh,
Oh
did we
yeah.
miss the part where oh yeah, they took a picture, they posed for a picture. And
Yes.
then Archer went to put his arm around T'Pol and then stopped and he's just like, smile. And he
Yeah.
says, get a copy of the picture to Vulcan High Command. Yeah.
Not gonna hug
There it is.
her.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Smile.
She doesn't even smile.
Not at all. She can't.
But
She can't.
that would be an emotion, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And here she's spouting off orders about, be back here at 1900 hours and continues to scan.
I love this shot. I think this is when Cutler's looking in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and she sees the fish, and there's like her reflection coming up in the water. That's such a beautiful shot.
Oh, I don't think I ever picked that up.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And I like the dual moons, or I
Yeah,
guess that was dual moons.
looks like it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. I bet you that's the infamous flower for later on.
Oh yeah, could be. Yeah, these could be the ones.
Mm-hmm. And then you have this lovely scene of, a shot of a mountain looking up. And that's
Yeah,
so pretty there.
really nice. Yeah.
They're talking about, Tripp's already talking about how he could build a cabin out here
Yeah.
and live out here. And Archer's like, wait, are you ready to give up
Yeah.
already? He's like, I'm not going anywhere, Cap.
And yeah, this is where they get sidetracked. I guess they didn't realize the time, and T'Pol calls them and thinks that there's
Yep.
some kind of an issue. Is something wrong, Captain? And he's like, no, why? And they're late rendezvousing by 15 minutes. And she's like, there must be an issue. They're not back yet.
He's like, we lost track of time. Well, and I guess she is the science officer and second in command, but oh my gosh. Oh, those Vulcans.
Yeah, so then I guess I had missed this part the first time, but there's actually nocturnal marsupials on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she wants to keep Cutler and Novakovich, and they
Yes.
decide to stay. And then Trip and volunteers Travis to also stay the night, which is nice.
And I love how, like we said, she's a stickler for checking in. So now we get to the ghost story
Yeah,
scene,
Travis's ghost story.
which, it kind of surprises me that they're still doing ghost stories even that far in the future.
How come? I think it would. I think it.
Well, okay, I guess for Travis, because he was raised on a cargo ship.
Yeah, but look,
And
this
I
happened
guess,
on a cargo ship, kind of. So there's all sorts of crazy things that would happen. And it could have been that it was an alien being that actually entered this guy Webb's body, but they're
mm-hmm,
making it seem like it could have also been a spirit. So then that's where the ghost story aspect of it comes through.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And that's true. And he's going on and getting them all scary and all that stuff. And then, as you see in the background, to Paul
Oh,
is
yeah, she's still
completely,
she's still on her reading her own stuff,
she's doing scans
doing
and
her
just
work.
keeps doing her work while everybody else is listening to his story. And it's just so weird that she's like, whatever. And then finally, he finishes the story and they're like, ooh. And to Paul's, and she's, what he asked her? Do we not have ghost stories on Vulcan?
Oh yeah. And then cuz I think she interjects by saying it's very unlikely that a distress signal would have continued for however many 60, oh there it is, could function continuously for 63 years. That's her interjection. So then they laugh and he's like, let me guess, no ghost stories on Vulcan. Oh, I love this
This,
part. I love this part with Cutler where she
yes.
points to our sun as just a single speck. There was I wrote down, I love what she says, just another speck of light, no different than any other.
Hmm.
It's just, it puts things into perspective. I love that line.
I did too. And it's going to be so cool the day when we really are, when you can think to look back that Earth is just, or the sun is just a speck of light
Mhm.
on another, like she said,
Yeah.
among other stars.
Yeah.
Now, we're about to come up to the part where the wind's starting to pick up and
Mhm.
all of that. And a part of me, because Novakovich starts feeling bad
Yeah. He gets a headache.
and he starts getting a headache. And I have this, I don't know, I guess I'm going to call this a nitpick because
Hmm.
it's kind of a nitpick is how did they not like, how did their scanners not realize there was a storm coming?
Oh, right. Wouldn't they have picked it up? Unless it just came on so suddenly. Because that's what they say. It kind of like came out of nowhere. So, and then even
Yeah,
the ship, yeah, you know what? Even Enterprise, well, unless well, you would think that they would be continuously monitoring the planet and
yeah,
especially like the area that they're in and
mm-hmm,
give them kind of a warning that, hey, looks like something's on coming your way. But
yeah,
I
and,
actually didn't think about that. I just kind of like, oh, they're caught off guard the way we would be if we had gone. But this is, yes, definitely in the future they would have.
yeah. Well, especially since she's sitting there scanning the entire time Travis is telling the ghost story.
Unless she was just looking over her notes from previous and not
Okay,
scanning for the moment exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
I will yield to that
Okay.
that assumption. Um, okay. So, as someone who was in scouts and boy scouts and did a lot of camping in my, when I was younger, um, the thought of finding something in your sleeping bag, yes, was a constant concern.
I have a story actually. I have a story. You can cut this out, but I have a funny story.
Okay.
about something similar. Which so I went to Cuba. This is probably like 10 years ago now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I went to Cuba with a bunch of group of friends, and one day half of us went to Havana, and the other half stayed
Mm-hmm.
at the resort. And so I drove to Havana, and on the way back, a different friend drove back, but he ended
Mm-hmm.
up going the wrong way. And so we got totally late. We finally figured out how to get back, and our friends at the resort were wondering, like, "Oh my gosh, where is everybody? Like, where are our friends?" Um, I was so tired by the time I got back. I went straight back to our room. So I shared a room with my friend Dan. He's like my childhood friend. There were
Mm-hmm.
three beds in the room for some reason, but I had the one closest to the door. So I
Mm-hmm.
got back, went into the room, and just collapsed in the bed. And within like a half an hour, I was like, "Uh oh, I feel something." I threw back the covers, and there was this huge bug in the bed with me.
Oh.
I screamed, and I jumped up, and I was like, I was high on adrenaline. I'm like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" That was terrifying, but I wouldn't go back into that bed. So I went in the farthest bed closer to the window, and I just went there and lay down. I think it must have been like an hour later. I heard the door open, and my friend Dan and my friends were coming. Like he peeked in and he saw that my bed was empty. So he's like, oh, "Guys, they're not back yet. Something must have happened to them. Like it's so late. They should have gotten back from Havana by now." And they were all worried. I sat up in the end bed, and I'm like, "Oh, hi guys, I'm here." And I freaked them out, and they were like, "Oh my gosh," because they didn't expect me to be over there. But
Oh, that's too funny.
yeah, so I scared them,
Ooh.
but they were completely happy that we made it back because the other friends, I guess, also just went to bed in their room. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was terrifying, and I didn't sleep in that bed again for the rest of the trip. That was like early on in the trip, but I'm like, I'm not sleeping in that one again.
Nope.
But yeah, it was like this big with legs,
That's
like oh.
such a so that was about as big as the one Trip found in his.
Yeah, he actually used the word scorpion to describe it at one point, but
Yeah.
the one in my bed was not a scorpion. I'm sure it was like just a disgusting leggy bug. So, oh yeah, that
Oh, hold on. Look at that. Oh, wait a second. I just realized what I knew that thing looked familiar. Okay. It's a little behind there.
uh-huh.
So if you look at that bug, it looks eerily similar to the the creature
Are you gonna say
in
the conspiracy? He's an
yes.
PNG.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
with those big things on the back of it.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Oh yeah,
because
there
it's
it is.
the thing's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Ugh.
And then they're like,
The
okay, and why does he want to use Travis's boot and not his boot? It's like, give me your boot. So I can squash it.
Oh, this
And
is
that's a
so.
valid comment, what he says. Can we squash an alien life form?
Oh yeah, they're killing an alien life form.
I know. I would have never I thought about that. It's like, ooh, can you do that? I mean, you can. You can do whatever you want, but yeah. There it is. They're fighting over it. Give me a face pistol.
Space pistol.
All right. So now that we have dealt with the scorpion, um, as we are this, as the scene progresses, you know, the storm is getting way worse and so much worse that they actually now need to find shelter.
Yeah, their tents are basically getting pulled up, so it's time to find
Correct.
somewhere else to go.
Correct. And, as they say earlier in the series, they had found some caves. And so, they abandon their tents and make their ways into the cave. And now as we get into the caves, they're getting in there, they seem to be okay. But as the scene progresses and as this whole thing, they start talking, um, you can tell that there's something wrong with them. They're
Something's wrong.
already
Yeah,
they're
something is off.
start correct. They're starting to show signs of just, obviously the hallucinogens, but still,
Yeah,
um, because the first thing we hear is Novakovich thinks he's seen people,
right.
and as we have been told, there is no humanoid life forms on that planet.
Hmm. And also, yeah, so the next person that sees something is Travis when he goes back because they forgot the food packs.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back to the campsite, and that's when he sees the figures in the distance. This part was pretty scary, like watching the scene and seeing like the figures in the distance, like what he was actually seeing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember that. And so, of course, now because they need to get off the planet, Archer, or not Archer, to Paul and them, they call up the Enterprise, and they realize that that storm is really coming in, and they need to get them off the planet as soon as
Mhm.
they possibly can. And so, um,
Yeah, so Malcolm visits Archer, yeah, and he informs him of what's going on, and he suggests they pick them up in the
mm-hmm,
UA team.
yep,
And that's when T'Pol is like, it's actually really windy, so you probably shouldn't come, and we'll be okay till the wind dies down. So Archer tells Malcolm, just keep an eye on the storm. And then,
mm-hmm,
yeah, but then things are not going well on the planet.
no. And that's when they do decide Archer and Reed do actually try to come down and rescue them. But the wind is so bad that the shuttlecraft cannot land.
Mhm.
And as they're trying to get down there, the wind shoves it and it actually runs into the side of like a
Yeah,
hill or a mountain
yeah.
and damages it. And so, unfortunately, they have to leave them on the planet. And Trip's like, "Hey, Cap, you forgetting about
Yeah, yeah,
something?"
that was funny. And he's like, yeah, I won't, we can't land right now. We'll have to come.
Nope. And so they then unfortunately are thrown or have to go back into the caves. And this is the first time I think we've really seen, granted, they're under the influence of that hallucinogen, but that we've really seen Trip and Paul argue.
Oh, yeah.
And they were arguing badly.
Hmm.
Um, and he is accusing her of seeing the aliens or not seeing of hiding about the
Yeah.
alien.
Because even Cutler, what does Cutler see? So this is, I have it here. So when Travis and Trip head out after Novakovich when he runs out of the cave and they try and find him, that's
Mm-hmm.
when T'Pol is like, you know what? If there is something around here, I intend to find it. So she takes off, and then Cutler's there, but she follows T'Pol and sees her actually talking to somebody, which is like she's hallucinating, and then confronts T'Pol, and she's like, "There's no one here." I like how her voice is just completely Vulcan, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
it's good to show how she keeps her cool. And later on, when she does raise her voice, it's because now you can see, yeah, she's getting affected by whatever this psychogenic drug is.
Yep. And so obviously the Enterprise, and they want to get them off the planet because the storm is very bad. And so now we try to use the transporter because it's only because of Novakovich is
Yeah,
not inside the cave. He ran and did not get back in there. And so he's caught outside in this storm and needs to get off the planet.
yeah. And when they're trying
Unfortunately,
to talk to him, just like to hear
yes.
him like screaming and he's not able to answer. And then also when they were coming down in the shuttle pod and they had talked to him, I remember his response to them was, go to hell. And then the look on Archer and Malcolm's faces were like, oh, okay, no, something is really wrong. Yeah, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that, every time they try and reach him, when they like Hoshi and she's trying to tell like Ethan, can you hear me? And he's just screaming. They're like, okay, we have to do something, and that's their only option is to use the transporter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. And unfortunately, The transporter is unable to.
Separate.
Unable to comply.
All right. So, Aaron, you get to edit all that part out because the dang dog was barking at the freaking street people. All right. So, now we go to the transporter bay where Malcolm is going to attempt to beam at Novakovich. But because of all of the debris in that's blowing around him, the transporter is not able to decipher, recognize Novakovich versus the trees and all the debris.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he materializes with it embedded in his skin.
Yeah, that looked painful.
That looks really painful.
Yeah.
And oh man. And I mean, I know it's a series and it's a TV series. I just wondered though, like how, like he got. I mean, it was only in his skin, but if you're fully dematerialized, what was to keep it from actually being?
Oh yeah, inside your body.
Yeah, yeah. So, anywho, we're not going to think about that.
Yeah. No.
um, so after they beam him back up. Medical emergency, send him to sick bay. Um, Trip continues
Yeah.
to accuse DePaul of lying about not knowing the aliens and accuses her and the Vulcans for trying to sabotage their mission.
Yep.
Which that stems again from the very first episode where they still don't trust the Vulcans.
Yeah, it's always going to be there, and they feel that they're holding them back, and he even says that at one point, like, that's what you guys do. You're just holding us back, and you're here to sabotage us. And they're gonna hear that, oh, like the whole crew of the Enterprise is dead and found dead on some planet, and it's gonna be because the Vulcans, you guys did it. And he's like
Mm-hmm.
pointing a phaser, waving a phaser around, and then that's yeah. And then he's still seeing things in the rock, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
Travis, I think, says, "Oh, look over there," and he actually shoots because he thinks he sees something. And
Correct.
there was this, I think it was like the really end of a scene where he's screaming and he's like, "I know you hear me." And
Mm-hmm.
that was just like, oh wow, like
Yeah.
yeah,
At this point, he's out of it.
he's out.
He is out of it and is a danger at this point.
Yeah.
You know. So now we go back to Enterprise, and Phlox is examining. Has determined that Novakovich is under the influence of a psychotropic substance from the plants, and luckily he what?
Tropolysine.
Mm-hmm.
You guys saying it right? Tropolysine, psychotropic compound.
Mm-hmm. And he, of course, now Captain Archer's up there wanting to know, okay, how is this going to affect the crew? How is it affecting T'Pol? And of course, he says, well, it could be affecting her, better or worse. He doesn't know how she's going to react, but he assures him that Ethan's going to be fine in 3 to 4 hours.
Right.
And so then we return to a very, very intense scene on the planet.
That's when Archer calls down and tells T'Pol that we have Novakovich, and she's like, I have a phase pistol pointed at my head. And he's like, what? And then that's when Trip is screaming, and that's when Archer understands that, okay, there's something going on with them, and it's because of this plant pollen, and he tries to explain it to Trip, but obviously Trip is way too far gone to even register that he could be telling him the truth. And he tries to talk him down to lower his signal, and T'Pol reports that she's been slightly affected. Um, that's when Travis also is starting to trip out, and it gets. There's a really cool shot of when Trip is talking to Travis, and he's like right in his face. He's like, "You can't. I need you." And there's a point of view shot from Travis where like Trip's face is like kind of. I thought that yeah, that was really cool because it gives us a sense of like, okay, yeah, they're really not okay, and Travis is like kind of slipping into whatever Novakovich, like he's getting to that point where he's just gonna basically pass out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he does start to pass out, and he actually does eventually pass out. Um, and Cutler does as well. And again, so they're continuing to argue, and
Oh, and T'Pol starts reverting to Vulcan at that point where she starts speaking in Vulcan, and that even angers Trip even more. And then he starts talking to a Mr. Velik. We don't find out who that is until the end, but it was interesting to see like he's staring at some rocks and he's talking to somebody. And I'm trying to protect my crew.
yep. Well, and as all of this is going on, we hear over the intercom, Blocks calls to the captain that says, "Could you get down to sick bay immediately?" And that's when he lets him know that, hey, there was another issue. He did not expect this. Novakovich could pass away, and he wants to know, well, doctor, you're just going to have to do this with the crew. He says, well, I've got medicine, interprovaline, and if we can get it to them and they can take an injection, then they should be okay. So now we start the next phase of trying to get that medicine down to them, which they beam the medicine down, but not to Paul, but Trip is absolutely refusing to let T'Pol get it because he feels it's going to be, I think, like weapons or you name it. He is absolutely not going to let her get it. And so that's when they come up with a plan to trick them.
Archer is like doing everything he can to get through the Trip, and everything he tried is not working. So then you see that moment where he's like, okay, you know what? I have to tell you the truth about what's going on. And he had to fabricate this whole story. And it's awesome that they were able to communicate with T'Pol in Vulcan, thanks to Hoshi, which was, and that's why she's such an asset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was such a genius way to get Trip to cool down a little bit in order to let his guard down so that they can actually get through to him. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And as soon as they as soon as they convince Trip to lower his weapon, DePaul stuns him.
yeah,
And I like that line when Archer and Hoshi are just discussing the plan,
yeah,
and he says, "I hope she knows the difference
oh,
between
yeah,
stun and kill."
yeah. In whatever altered state she's in, hopefully she understands the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So luckily, they're able to stun Trip. She gets the medicine, injects everybody, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I noticed we saw our first Vulcan neck pinch.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, at least in this series, because Travis is trying to refuse to take the medicine, and she.
Oh, she did. I didn't even notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yep. She Vulcan neck pinches him. He passes out, gives him a shot,
Perfect.
and all is well now. So everybody has been injected. They have been medicated, and finally we wake up into the morning, and Trip feels like he's got the worst hangover ever because he's like, "Did I dream that you shot
Yeah.
me?"
Like, you didn't shoot me last night, did you? She's like, I'm afraid I did.
Yeah, she's afraid I did,
Yeah.
and
And then I think that's
so
when he's like, are they gone? And she's like, they were never here.
yeah.
And he's like, oh, was it the pollen? And she's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he just tried to apologize at that point where he's like, and he was out of his mind and under the influence, and she's like, well, we all were. So she kind of like, it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
She is. And after that, they all walk outside and see a lovely shuttlecraft coming down to pick them
Yeah.
up.
That was a beautiful shot too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're walking toward. I love the part where there's a shot of Cutler as she's looking out of the cave, and like it's all bright outside, and then she sees
Mm-hmm.
the pod coming down
Yeah.
in the distance. Yeah.
Yeah. And they safely go back to the starship.
Yeah.
And so, um, for an episode, for me personally, I liked this episode. I thought it was really good. I liked how, we actually get to see our first Class M planet,
Hmm.
but As much as it hates me to say this, I also understand now why the Vulcans use probes for 7 days.
Yeah, I know. Like, okay, I guess she was kind of right. Because if they had waited, then that windstorm would have come, and then they would have picked up the pollen, and then they would have known, and then they wouldn't have
Yeah,
to do all of this.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it just, I'm sorry, that just kind of irritates me that they did that. That she was right, but I, I'm sitting here. I've been trying to think of like if I was in their shoes, I don't think I would have done anything differently. If I'm on humanity's first deep space
Oh yeah,
vessel,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I would have the same enthusiasm at the beginning where Archer, I think he even says, like, we didn't come out here to tiptoe around. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going down to this planet and we're going to explore because that's what their mission is, basically. And T'Pol is there from a more experienced lens, and she's the one that's saying, you know what, this is what we would do as Vulcans. But he's like, no, let's just go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we learn. Obviously, we learn
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
And so I would give this episode on a 1 to 10.
Oh,
I'm thinking 7.9.
oh, okay. Wow. I was going to say 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's really well done. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting as well, like although it's not um like it's an episode where we see the characters kind of not acting like themselves. Something that shows usually do a little later on once they've established their characters. But this is pretty early on in the show to see where they're getting affected by something out, like an outside force that's making them act not like themselves. But they did it in a really good way because, as you said, as soon as they started entering the cave, we can kind of see like, okay, something seems off, and they don't seem like they're acting like themselves. Um, and it reinforces what we know about, like what we've learned about the characters so far, and then kind of see them pulled out of their usual personalities. Um, it's interesting, and it's interesting very early on to see that, especially for T'Pol. I know like there's other episodes where we see her; she's the one that's not affected by things going on that the rest of the crew might be experiencing. So this is kind of like a precursor to that. But seeing like T'Pol, even when she raises her voice, like as the viewer, we know what Vulcans are. We know how they're supposed to react, and we see her raising her voice. It's like, okay, something is up, something is wrong. And even Trip had called it out too, saying, "Oh, it looks like you're not very under control
Mm-hmm.
either." So, yeah,
Well, he always has fun doing that.
yeah,
Well, I definitely am looking forward to reviewing our next episode together because this is one of the really good ones
it
again.
is.
And so I'm glad when I was looking at my list, I was like, okay, good. I got that one with her
This
because this will be fun.
will be
And
fun.
so, well, I thank you for, joining me tonight to do this. And I will talk to you again soon for the next review.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Kenny.
having me. It was
Oh, you're
great.
welcome. Bye.
Thank you for watching The Transporter Room. For just $5 per month, enjoy ad-free access to this episode and all previous ones, plus exclusive bonus content. Sign up now on Patreon.